But what does this entire Federal Reserve policy mean for the U.S. markets as well as for the global markets as a whole? I'm joined by Peter Cardillo this morning from Spartan Capital Securities. Good morning, Peter. Good to have you on the show. Let's first start up with what the Federal Reserve has done and what does it actually mean for the U.S. markets.
Well, to begin with, they basically assured the markets that they're not going to raise interest rates for at least another 2 years. And, of course, that just simply means that there is no place to put your money other than in the stock market. And they basically said, that they're going to have a new target for inflation, which is not new news. But they said that they would tolerate inflation just a little bit over 2% for a while. And they also lowered somewhat the economic forecast. And, of course, again, they reminded everyone that the recovery depends on the virus, on the path of the virus. And so with that in mind, they basically notched down 10 percentage points in economic activity and basically indicated that recovery out of recession is not likely until the new year. And of course, we had yesterday retail sales which came out and they were on the weak side. And of course, that plays into the hands of what the Fed is saying, that the high rate of unemployment is, going to keep spending at bay. That keeps spending weak, I should say. And the fact that we saw retail sales go up by 0.6% and came down from those hefty levels that we had while the economy was pulling out of the very depressed levels, it was somewhat of a disappointment. And that's what basically what the Fed indicated in the Fed minutes, that spending is probably not going to be as robust as perhaps previously anticipated because of the high rates of unemployment and the uncertainties.
Peter, I'd like to get your view now on dollar. What actually happens to the dollar index as well as the gold, because both of them were in anticipation ahead of this Federal Reserve meet. So what is the outlook for going ahead for dollar as well as for gold?
Yeah, I'm bearish on the dollar, and I believe that the dollar index is probably going to go down to 90, probably even go as low as 89 in the very near term. Obviously, with rates staying the way they are, and the economy probably not pulling out of recession until the first quarter of 2021, the odds of a strong dollar continue to grow. And also the tensions between the United States and China. And that just adds to other uncertainties in terms of geopolitical concerns. As far as gold is concerned, I think, we're going to see much higher prices. I'm bullish on gold. We have huge deficits, and it looks as though perhaps we're going to get even another stimulus package, which would add to the deficit. And so with a weak dollar, and stock prices continue to move higher, probably along with commodities in general, there's no room for gold other than to move higher. So I have a 6 to 8 month target of $2,500 gold price over the next 2 to 3 quarters.
All right, and that's your view on dollar and gold. But what is Asia doing this morning? If you see, Peter, across the Asia, it's a sea of red. Is this because of the concerns that the Federal Reserve has expressed on the growth front, considering that the growth recovery is still some time away?
Yeah, I kind of think so. And I think that's, one of the reasons why we saw the market falter yesterday. When the Fed communique was announced, we saw the indices spike higher, and then towards the end of the day, they faded. Obviously, it was the tech sector that brought down NASDAQ and the S&P, and basically weakened the gains the stronger gains that we had when the Fed communique was announced. So I kind of think, the market is beginning to think now, well, what happens to earnings if we have weak economic conditions for another quarter or two? That could be somewhat of a problem. But then again, as I said, we have near zero interest rates. The only game in town is equities.
All right. Thank you, Peter, joining us this morning, giving us a take on U.S. markets, Asia, dollar, as well as gold. That was Peter Cardillo of Spartan Capital Securities.